A Univision anchorman gets trumped. Watch this.
Excuse me, sit down. You weren't called. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. You haven't been called. Go back to Univision. Sit down, please. You weren't called.
I'm pretty sure that Jorge wants a little attention. This seems to me to be one big, massive publicity stunt. But I'm going to go to our friend Howie Kurtz, Fox News analyst and host of Media Buzz, for his expert opinion. Howie, always good to see you. This was entertaining, kind of better than Celebrity Apprentice in some ways. But, you know, Jorge Ramos, he's out there, frankly, out of line. What do you say?
No question about it. I've watched this tape several times. I've slowed it down. Not only does he look like an activist disrupting an event, but he's not even asking a question. He's shouting, you can't deport 11 million people. You can't build a wall. He wanted this confrontation. Trump had every right to give him the boot, but Donald Trump shrewdly realized when other reporters started asking about what had happened that he didn't want the next day's headline to be, you know, Trump kicks the guy out. So he brings him back as a 5-minute debate, and it turns into, you know, a reality TV show.
Do you think that, in your view, was this extremely calculated by Jorge Ramos? I mean, we saw him on every network morning show this morning out there talking about it all. Was he trying to boost his own star in some ways and perhaps his own position as an advocate for immigration?
Well, he is. This is his signature issue, and he has been very confrontational with President Obama, John Boehner, and others. He doesn't pretend to be neutral on the question of illegal immigration. So either way, he wins. If Trump answers his question, he gets the exchange that he can replay on Univision. If Trump refuses to answer the question, he's shouting at Donald Trump. So in some ways, they both won, because for Donald Trump, pushing back on his signature issue the way that he did, and it was kind of like, I pay for this microphone, Mr. Green, that Ronald Reagan moment. He didn't take any guff from this Univision guy, and I think his fans love that. And this is the reason, Trish, that all the cable networks routinely now take Trump's press conferences live, because you get these kinds of fireworks.
Yeah, and hey, they rate. But Howie, you know, at the end of the day, like, that's not how you conduct yourself, right, in a press conference. I mean, this guy's out there saying, well, I've been a journalist for 30 years and no one's ever thrown me out of a press conference before. But let's face it, you and I have been to many of these things. There's some decorum, some protocol that you follow. You don't just suddenly stand up and start screaming at the guy.
I have the right to ask a question. Look, if a candidate is walking and reporters are shouting questions, that's one thing. If you're in a news conference where the candidate is saying, okay, you, now you, now you don't get to just interrupt and start spewing rhetoric. It does not work that way. Jorge Ramos knows that. He's been around for a long time. As you say, I think he got what he wanted out of it. But, you know, he doesn't seem to me, he is an anchor and an experienced one. He was talking today about, well, I've never been kicked out of a news conference, and I've been to Cuba and Venezuela. You know what would happen if you tried that stunt in Cuba? You'd probably be thrown in jail.
Yeah, that's very true, very true. Well, he got what he wanted, perhaps. Here we are talking about him. Thanks, Howie. All right, is there going to be political fallout from Donald Trump telling Jorge Ramos, go back to Univision? We'll debate it next.